Welcome to a lesson about the words writers use to connect ideas and signal transitions from one thought to the next, recognizing coordinating conjunctions and signal words. It's easier to read longer sentences and understand what they mean when you can recognize words called signal words. Writers use coordinating conjunctions such as and, but, and or to create compound sentences and connect related ideas. Conjunctions are a kind of signal word. There are other types of signal words that do things like identify time and sequence and indicate when the writer is comparing and contrasting different things. Writers use signal words to shift the direction of their writing. You can recognize these shifts, or transitions, by looking for the signal words that identify them. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to define the term coordinating conjunction. Explain how coordinating conjunctions link thoughts and ideas. Define the phrase signal word. Identify types of words that signal transitions in pieces of writing. List examples of each type of signal word. Here are the latest headlines from my life. I'll be your shadow. Patient info missing and mixed up. Communication breakdown causes concern. I'm getting a great opportunity, but I'm also not doing things right, and that's giving Dr. Myers second thoughts about me. Friday afternoon, I got an email from one of the doctors in the medical practice where I work.
Hi, Jennifer. I know you've expressed an interest in either medical assisting or nursing to advance your career, and that you've been going to school to work toward a nursing diploma. If you would be interested in learning more about medical assisting, I'll be training our new medical assistant, Angela, over the next couple weeks. If you want to shadow her while she is trained, we could have someone else cover your duties at the front desk during that time. Let me know if you would like to do this. Sincerely, Richard F. Myers, M.D.
I'm working toward a nursing diploma, but I've also been interested in medical assisting. This is my chance to see whether this would be a better career option for me. I have to admit that I thought shadowing would be easy. I thought Angela would be doing all the work while I just watched. But sometimes I think Dr. Myers believes I'm the one he's training, not Angela. Under his supervision, he's had me talk to patients, asking them to describe their problems and medical histories to me while I write it all down. He's also given me written notes about patient cases and asked me to write a transcription of those notes. If I really was a medical assistant, I'd be responsible for making sure all this information was accurately represented in records describing the treatment the patients have received. It's been more work than I thought I'd be doing, that's for sure. Angela's had to do the same, of course. She will make the actual transcriptions of patient information and Dr. Myers' notes to put into the patient records. She's also had to do a lot of other stuff that Dr. Myers won't let me do, like giving patients medications and injections, preparing medical instruments and supplies for examinations, and collecting blood and urine samples for lab testing. But when Dr. Myers does have me do something, it kind of feels like both Angela and Dr. Myers are judging what I do. I don't like that. But I really don't like that I've been making mistakes. There are two big problems. One is that when I write down what patients tell me, I leave things out or mix things up. I write down the problem the patient is having, but forget to write down things that could be possible causes. I'm not clear about the order things happen in. I don't make it clear when a patient is describing a single problem or several problems happening at once. I don't clearly describe that some patients are having different kinds of problems on different days. The other big problem is that I'm not reading instructions and notes from Dr. Myers quite right. I'm forgetting things. I think I'm not paying close enough attention to what he's saying. I don't actually have to enter what Dr. Myers writes down into the patient records. That's Angela's job. But he wants to see if I could do that. He's bothered that I'm having such a hard time with it. Dr. Myers wants to sit down with me to see if we can work out what the problems are. I think I am starting to understand at least part of the problem, though. I've learned about coordinating conjunctions and signal words in school, but I'm not using them when I write down what the patients say. Also, I'm not paying enough attention to spot when Dr. Myers is using them. These kinds of words help me recognize connections between different ideas and thoughts, and I think I need to learn to use and spot these to help understand both the patients and Dr. Myers better than I have been. This is what I've learned. Coordinating conjunctions link related thoughts and ideas. Coordinating conjunctions are a kind of signal word that readers can use to identify shifts and transitions in writing. Other kinds of words signal transitions in pieces of writing. If I can identify these different signal words, I can better understand what I read. Dr. Myers is concerned enough about the problems I've been having understanding his writing and communicating patient problems that he set aside time in his busy schedule to go over these issues with me.
Jennifer, I see lots of potential in you. You work hard, you're reliable, you're professional with patients, and you're very bright.
Thank you, Dr. Myers.
But I think you have so much going on with raising your family, going to school, and the work you do here that sometimes you have trouble focusing. You need to slow down and think.
Well, I know I've made a lot of mistakes recently. I guess that I thought I'd be watching more than I'd actually be doing anything.
Jennifer, I've had you do things because I think that's the best way for you to learn, and for me to see if there are problems with how you understand the medical assisting job you'd be doing in this office if you chose that career path.
Yes, Dr. Myers.
Let's focus first on some things I've written that you've misinterpreted. I'd like to go over an example of this with you to see if we can identify where the problems are and correct them.
Dr. Myers shows me something he had written down.
Patient Ramirez has pain in his lower back, moderate to severe most days, and he has trouble sleeping. I have prescribed a muscle relaxant as a short-term relief from the pain and an aid to help Mr. Ramirez sleep, but I don't consider that a long-term solution. I've spoken to Mr. Ramirez about exercises he can do to help deal with the pain, but I'm skeptical that he is going to do these. I think he's also taking lots of ibuprofen to manage the pain, which I'd rather he not do, and I don't think he is being honest about the amount of ibuprofen he is taking. Surgery might be necessary if the pain gets worse, yet I also believe that we need to know more about the cause before we come to that kind of decision. And I think a lot of the problem comes from Mr. Ramirez needing a more ergonomic chair at his job and a greater variety of physical activity during the day.
When I finish reading this, Dr. Myers shows me my interpretation of what he had written. Mr. Ramirez has lower back pain that can get pretty severe. He has trouble sleeping. Dr. Myers has prescribed a muscle relaxant for these problems. Dr. Myers has also talked to Mr. Ramirez about exercises to help with the pain. Dr. Myers thinks Mr. Ramirez is taking ibuprofen to manage the pain. Surgery might be necessary. The problem might be that Mr. Ramirez needs a better chair at work. When I finish reading what I had written, Dr. Myers says, "Do you see the problems, Jennifer?" I read through both paragraphs several times. Eventually, I thought I was seeing the problems. I had left out pieces of information. Dr. Myers doesn't consider the muscle relaxant to be a long-term solution. I didn't write down that part. He said he was skeptical Mr. Ramirez would do the exercises for back pain. I didn't write that down. I didn't mention that Dr. Myers thought Mr. Ramirez might not be telling the truth about how much ibuprofen he was taking, and that Dr. Myers would rather Mr. Ramirez not take the ibuprofen. I didn't say that Dr. Myers didn't want to consider surgery until he knew more about the cause of Mr. Ramirez's pain. I also didn't say that Dr. Myers thought Mr. Ramirez needed a greater variety of activity during the day. I just said that he thought Mr. Ramirez needed a better chair at work. I said, "Dr. Myers, is the problem that I left out too much of what you said?" Dr. Myers nodded. He said that was exactly the problem.
Jennifer, I'll admit that I can be long-winded in what I write. Sometimes I provide too much detail, and that confuses people. Basically, I'm not trying to say that this is all your fault. I need to work on being more concise and using simpler sentences to communicate my meaning.
That's a very generous point of view, Dr. Myers. Thank you. But how would you suggest that I improve my transcription abilities?
Well, I need you to be able to recognize and remember all the information I'm giving you when I write something down. If I make a note for you, I want you to understand it and not leave anything out of it if you transcribe it into the patient's record.
Yes, I see the problem. If I remember only a part of what you say, even if I think it's the more important part, then I'll miss things you want me to record about a patient's case.
Right. Let's focus on what you missed and why. I've noticed a pattern, and I want to make sure you see it too. I think that if I do that, then maybe we won't have this problem in the future.
Dr. Myers pointed out that when I missed something in a sentence, it was usually after a conjunction like but, and, or yet. In the sentence, I have prescribed a muscle relaxant as a short-term relief for the pain and an aid to help Mr. Ramirez sleep, but I don't consider that a long-term solution. I missed everything after but. In the sentence, I have also talked to Mr. Ramirez about exercise he can do to help deal with the pain, but I am skeptical that he is going to do these. I once again missed everything after but. In the sentence, I think he is also taking lots of ibuprofen to manage the pain, which I'd rather he not do, and I don't think he's being honest about the amount of ibuprofen he is taking. I missed the which part, but also missed everything after and. In the sentence, surgery might be necessary if the pain gets worse, yet I also believe that we need to know more about the cause before we come to that kind of decision. I missed the part after yet. In the sentence, Mr. Ramirez needed a more ergonomic chair at his job and a greater variety of physical activity during the day. I missed everything after and. The words I was having special trouble with in the note from Dr. Myers are called coordinating conjunctions. These are words that link parts of sentences together. They can link ideas or equivalent items. They can also be used to make compound sentences. There are 7 coordinating conjunctions. I had learned in school to remember them with the word fanboys, like this. F is for, A is and, N is nor, B is but, O is or, Y is yet, S is so. Coordinating conjunctions join parts of sentences. They can join 2 independent clauses, like this. I talked to Mr. Ramirez about exercises he can do to help deal with the pain, but I'm skeptical that he is going to do these. Here, the first part of the sentence and the second part could each be their own sentence. That's what makes each an independent clause. Each can stand on its own as a separate sentence. Dr. Myers used the coordinating conjunction but to join them because they're related in what they say. Coordinating conjunctions can join other items in a sentence that are like one another, such as 2 nouns, 2 verbs, 2 adjectives, or 2 adverbs, to show a connection between them, like in this sentence. I think Mr. Ramirez needs a more ergonomic chair at his job and a greater variety of physical activity during the day. This gives 2 possible solutions for Mr. Ramirez's back pain. He needs a better chair at work, and he needs a greater variety of physical activity during the day. If the conjunction used had been or, that would mean he needed one or the other, but not both. But because and was used, this means Mr. Ramirez needs both, a better chair and a greater variety of physical activity during the day to help with his back pain. In a series of items separated by commas, the conjunction joins more than 2 like items. I prescribe the following for Mr. Ramirez: a muscle relaxant, exercises for back pain, a more ergonomic chair at his job, and a greater variety of activities during the day. The coordinating conjunction and Connect the series of items muscle relaxant, exercises, more ergonomic chair, and variety of activities. It also signals the end of the series. Great job! You've now finished this section. Continue building your skills by moving on to the next section.